Welcome. A little pre-Christmas. Check the game notes. I got my Swedish glug right here, the hot wine you warm up this time of season, because since there's no eggnog over here. I know, Army, I don't know where you are. We're going to find out in a second, but I'm sure you have some eggnog. We got G and Posh in the back pulling all the strings with all the images and everything for us, as always. Today's show, all about the World Juniors. We got the World Junior preview. Our guest, Chris Peters of Flow Hockey, and Mike Luck, play-by-play of the Oshawa Generals in the OHL. We got the trades to break down, game notes team of the week, a crazy riding the bus story. We got picks. We got show Minzees. Huge show right before Christmas. Arm Dog, where are you?
Well, I'm in Nashville, buddy. Huge OT win. Brian Rust, massive game last night. Crosby gets off the schneid, 10 games without a goal. Potts won, huge power play goal. Pens are rolling, boys.
Yeah.
Pens are rolling in Nashville. You don't think I went out last night on Broadway? Yep, I did. But before we get to that, Murls, I got a little conversation with our listeners, our viewers, and the chat about DraftKings, our presenting sponsor. Want to up your game day experience, people? Our partners at DraftKings have a brand new way to play daily fantasy sports with Pick Six. All new customers who play $5 will get $50 in Pick Six credits. Download the DraftKings Pick Six app now and sign up with code Chicklets. Pick at least 2 players and choose if they'll have more or less of a stat. Like, will they get more or less than 1.5 points? We love doing that, right, Murls? Or have more than 3.5 shots on goal. The shot master. You know, Murls is checking the shots. Lock them in and compete against others for a shot at huge cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Pick Six app now and sign up with code Chicklets only on DraftKings Pick Six. The crown is yours. So yeah, Murls, Pens are hot. I'm on the road. What a week. I did the Pens. What day was that? Tuesday night. Massive OT winner. Ricard Raquel snubbed by Sweden. He's absolutely on fire too. He's like the hottest scoring guy of all the snubbed guys right now. On fire. Then I go to Atlanta. I do TNT back-to-back games that night. Doubleheader.
Your
Workhorse. Get up in the morning. Fly to Nashville from Atlanta. Make it for both morning skates. Have a little jaw wag with my boy Luke Shen. Nice chat with Barry Trotz. Tried to ask him some questions. What's the hell's going on in Nashville, right? What's going on with them? And then do the game last night, then right to Broadway after a big OT win. And I hit up that Kid Rock's place again. Remember we went there during the draft, like if you remember.
Oof, that was a rough week. That place and what was the other one? Had 4 or 5 floors on it. It got ugly in there.
Jason Aldean's, was that where we were?
Aldean's, yep, that one.
Buddy, remember the floor was bouncing? I thought the floor was going to collapse because we were up on like the second floor. Buddy, the band's in there though. You know, I love the live music. I'm not even I would classify myself. I'm not a music guy, but I'm also the ultimate music guy, Murls. I love it. I get caught up in it.
In Vegas last year, I was trying to find you. You were in a speakeasy. I'm looking through. This place is packed wall to wall like this. I'm working my way through. Who's in the front row? It's you. The music is so loud. I had Vegas voice already. We were 2 days into the trip, so I couldn't talk to you there. I was like, I'm out of here. I went right back to blackjack. But I think you get a couple cocktails in you, and that music gets in you.
Like I'm not really I'm not a playlist guy. Like I don't just have music. I'm not that guy, like the guy that has the aux cord guy. I'm not that guy. I never was. I do like music, but I get in that situation with the live band. I'm front stage. What do they call that? What do they call it when you're right at the front of the stage? A groupie? I'm a groupie. Yeah. I'm a groupie.
I'm groupie.
All right. Are they saying that in the chat already?
No, I beat them to it this time.
That's so funny, man. Yeah, but I was loving it last night. Tip the guy huge. You know, they come around with a bucket, tip the band. This guy and this girl were just singing unbelievable. And I don't know. I got it. Buddy, they played a Toby Keith song. It was wild. They're like the chanting USA in there. They played a Toby Keith song. This guy up there was just going nuts. It was incredible. Just like typical Nashville, man.
That's I was gonna say. That's what you need to be doing. You're on the road in the NHL like that. You need to be in Nashville partying for all of us that can't do it. the guys at home changing the poopy diapers and cooking meals and just hanging out at Christmas, eating candy and cookies. You need to be out partying for us through you.
Well, I'm grinding, buddy. But I got to give a shout out too to Nick Kaiser. Great guy. I got hooked up with him. Chris Mason hooked me up last night at the game because you know me. I stress about the internet signal. I get I go crazy about the internet if it's not good because I'm on the road. I don't trust it. I'm a big trust guy, and I don't trust Wi-Fi. I don't trust it. So he hooked me up, and Nick Kaiser down here at this 102.5 The Game. They're like the radio station that covers the Preds here locally, and he set me up in one of the studios. So I got great internet. I'm actually in like a real. I don't know if you can see, like, look at, there's the mics. I'm in a studio. I'm like in a legit studio. I'm a music guy.
Yeah. You have to have the good Wi-Fi because our other guy, Grinnell, will be all over you if you log in here before the show and you don't have internet. So I know G's happy you're in there. G, anything else to say back there?
Yeah. Live show tickets are on sale right now. We announced all the guests. We actually haven't announced one more. I think they're going to announce it next show, but Tim Stapleton, Chris Chelios, Jeremy Roenick, barstoolsports.com/events. That's just a heavy hitters lineup right there. We got game notes. We got Yans. It's going to be an awesome show. So I think there's about 200 seats left or so. So, yeah, you're going to want to get on this. It's going to be an awesome show.
Yeah, I was working with Kelly. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, when I was listening to Chicklets and they're like ringing through the guests and they're like, yeah, you know, Murls and Army. I'm like, oh, like I don't belong in that list after Chelios and Roenick and all those guys. I'm like, what am I doing there?
Yeah, I was working with Chelly the other night at TNT and he's like so chill. It was so funny because I'm like,
he's so cool.
He's so cool, but he's like so chill. He's like, I'll see you in Chicago. I'm doing the Chiclet show. I'll be there with the boys. He's like, oh yeah, I think I'm doing that show. Like he had no he's so chill. Yeah, then I asked him too, because like we're just sitting there. I'm like, because I played with him in Atlanta. I'm like, Chelly, I'm like, how old were you when I was playing with you? Because I kind of forgot. I thought he would be like 43 or something. He was 48 years old.
Was it that old?
He said he was 48 years old when I played with him.
How old is he now?
I don't know.
Wow.
He looks like the exact same. He's an unbelievable tanning bed. Like he's unbelievable.
62. Wow. Looks incredible for 62.
I know. He's shredded. He's just so chill and awesome. But he told me 48 years old. I was playing with him, suiting up in the NHL and for the Atlanta Thrashers. Sorry. And he was like, I just wanted to stay in Chicago and like play for the Wolves. We had a good team, man. I would have won a Calder Cup. That's what he was saying. Oh, what a beauty. Oh, one more thing too.
Okay.
Pasha maybe can pop it up. Cruz texted me the other day, boys. Coming home on Saturday. Christmas
go.
break. Big cruiser over at Mount St. Charles. Shout out Mount St. Charles on Christmas break coming up. But one of the last few practices leading up to Christmas. I don't know if this is like a ploy to like, hey, Dad, guess what I want. Sends me this. Sends me that'll bring a dad to his knees right there. I opened that up. I dropped to the ground where I saw it, right where I was, dropped to my knees and looked up to the Lord. Why me? Why? That's 800 bones right there, Murls.
I was going to say, I remember when I was coaching the Bantam team, those were $400 sticks, and these kids were ripping through them like they were wood sticks, Sherwood $25 sticks I used to get from Mackay Sports.
This is the time of year, though, where kids are trying to break their sticks. You go to practice, and you're like, hey, give me a hard one, and this drill slash me right on the toe there. Like, kids want – I remember one time I went to my backyard. I had the 190. And I went in my backyard. It was right before Christmas. Me and my little brother. We both had 190s. The 195 just came out. So we're like, we got to get the 195. And we went in the back and we're like, let's just go take slap shots on the cement until the sticks break. So we're just ripping. Fine. They're not breaking. You guys know I was like a 5'2". I was a little guy.
Yeah.
So
you're not
finally we both just went up to the post, two-hand it. I tape over the spot that it broke. Went out in warm-ups the next day, right around, catch the pass. It wasn't broken enough where I could catch the pass, rip a shot, it breaks. Dad gets me the new stick for Christmas.
Can you imagine if your dad saw you doing that over the post? Oh my God.
He would have killed me. He would have came out there and smacked the shit out of me.
Murls, the biggest snap show dad move at any youth hockey game is when the kid, any kid, small kids especially, when they're upset and they put the stick like over their head like this, and they smash their stick on the ice, pouting or being pissed off. That is a parent.
You know who did that last night, and that's why we got to bring on Pasha and get and see what's going on. Luke Hughes was doing it last night after the empty net went in, and they lost to Columbus. He was trying to break his stick, and he couldn't break it.
Yeah, he was the size of G when he was 10, trying to break his stick too.
What do you got to say?
The following statements are about to be made by a deranged Devils fan. The views expressed are his and his only. Take everything you hear with a grain of salt because, remember, he is a deranged Devils fan.
It's the greatest part of our show right there.
That's a good call, Murls. As soon as Army said that, I thought I saw Luke Hughes doing that last night. And I don't blame him. I mean, the Devils were buzzing. Like, I would say one of the best games overall besides the not scoring part. They played Jack Hughes 13 shots. So they play like that, they're going to win 9 times out of 10. Shout out to Merzlikins for standing on his head.
And I just want to congratulate you on another great sandbagger. Everybody watching, listening, go over YouTube, check that out.
Sandbagger
Steve
24.
Thomas, Darcy Tucker.
Oh, beauties.
Some great stuff in there.
They're great guys. That's awesome.
Yeah. Just an old school one. Stories flying around. It's a really good one.
I love it.
All right. And I see it in the chat already here. What's the best value bet for the World Juniors? I don't know yet because I haven't talked to our first guest here, Chris Peters from Flow Hockey. We need to get him in here right away, figure out what's going on again at this World Juniors. Last year, he gave us some great picks, some great insight, and welcome to the show again, Chris.
Chris, you were a beauty last year. Just unlimited insights for everyone, total coverage of this tournament. It's that time of the year, buddy.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, boys. It's great to be back, and yeah, I was excited. I was waiting for that text from Murls. I knew it was coming at some point because I was like, I think last year crushed, so we're gonna try and do it again.
Yeah, and then I think we met up. I can't remember if we met up in Stockholm during the NHL games or if it was in Gothenburg for the World Juniors or if it was both. It was both of those trips I have confused in one.
Yeah, it was Gothenburg, and it was a wild time. We had a lot of fun, out there. What a city Gothenburg is. I'm gonna miss it this year, but excited to get to Ottawa. Can't wait.
Yeah, what's the setup there? Where are they doing this at in Ottawa? I was just there with the Penguins, but are they doing it at like the Ottawa the old barn plus like Scotiabank? Or is that what it's called?
So Canadian Tire Center, whatever.
Yeah, Canadian Tire.
Who knows? I never know. But yeah, that'll be the main site. That's where USA and Canada are going to be. Sweden's over in the secondary site, which is where the 67s play. I believe it's TD Place. And, so 2 great venues, obviously nice and close. It's not always the easiest to get around Ottawa. I'm told. However, it's a great opportunity for the players. These guys getting a chance to play in an NHL building. If you go back to 2009, the last time Ottawa had it, one of the wildest USA Canada games ever. The John Tavares game, which was a crazy one. The late great Jimmy Hayes had an incredible moment in that game as well. That ended up kind of sparking the Canadian bench, I think, to have a massive comeback. But I mean, this is going to be a great environment. I think that it was, Ottawa was probably one of the most hostile environments that we've seen at the World Juniors, which made that game great. And we get USA Canada on New Year's Eve again this year. It's been a few years, so really thankful that we're going to have that too, because I think it'll be a classic.
I was with Jason York in Ottawa just recently too, and he was, to your point, talking about how Ottawa goes wild for like the World Juniors, like just an event town, but they love it there. So you're making me feel like excited talking about the past tournament that was there and what it could be this year. And their team's doing well right now, so it's like hockey's vibing right now in Ottawa.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and I think with the quality of these two teams, the US and Canada, I think those games are just going to be absolute wars. I hope we get 2 of them. It'd be nice to get them in the medal round as well. But I think they're the 2 best teams on paper. But boy, I'll tell you, it's going to be real interesting. And I can't wait to see kind of the whole vibe of the tournament, because it's been a little bit like the last couple times that we've been, kind of around the World Juniors in Canada and the US, it's been a little bit understated. I think that we're getting ready to ramp it back up here.
Yeah, we got you on mainly to talk about USA. We got Mike Luck coming on for Canada after this. I just went through the US roster. I even recognized a few names. A lot of guys returning. The BC guys, I see BC, I think, has 5 guys. But I mean, you got to look at Perot. Who is it? Perot, Higgins, and Leonard is the BC line, first line. And then the D, you got Zeev Bume and Drew Fortescue. Both those D returning, Augustine and net. That team's loaded again.
Yeah, 10 returning players at the World Juniors, which is really unusual for any team. They like to go heavy on the 19-year-olds, so you don't have as many returning guys. 3 of those players didn't play in last year's event because there were reserves, but the new wrinkle this year is that you can bring 25 and any one of those 25 can play. You get 20 skaters and 2 goalies per game. So that gives you a little bit of roster flexibility, but you mentioned the BC guys. I mean, it's pretty incredible what they've built. It's actually 6 BC guys this year. You got Teddy Stiga, Aaron Manetian, also in the mix there. But that top line is really the show. I think Ryan Leonard has been the best player in college hockey this year. He's certainly a big game player. Last year, he blew a kiss to the Swedish crowd, and he kind of gets the boys going a little bit. He just got named captain about 5 minutes ago. So you know that he's going to be fired up for this tournament. Had a chance to go pro with Washington at the end of last season, was, still kind of emotionally tied to his BC team. And he had the playoffs right in front of him. And he said, I can't leave yet. I'm not ready to go. And another reason that he wanted to stick around is he wanted to captain this team because it's his last opportunity to do this. I talked to him over the summer. He's really motivated to be part of history. USA has never gone back-to-back in this tournament. It's going to be really hard to do it. Winning on Sweden, beating Sweden on their home ice, then you got to potentially beat Canada on their home ice to go back-to-back. It would be a really difficult double, but Leonard is really one of the guys to watch super closely in this tournament because I think he's going to be outstanding.
He's like Kachuk almost, like with his like what we've come to see him. I think that's a pretty mature process for him to want to, to look at the picture. He sees his buddy run to San Jose, and of course guys want to go right to the show, but pretty mature of him to stick around and have a shot maybe at a Frozen Four as well, coming up short last year, and leading this team. I see that Hagen's on there. Obviously it's his draft year. I've seen some other guys start to poke their heads in, maybe at number 1. Porter Martone is a guy that I've seen kind of, to me, watching him, he's like so elite, so smooth, what we see from him. But this tournament also lends itself to a guy like that, or players like that, obviously, for that, trademark stage, have the ability to, make some noise and be a major factor, although it is kind of an older players tournament. But, some of these guys can really take a big step, and as we get looking towards the draft even.
Yeah, I think this is going to be really one of the great draft showcases that we have, because it will be Hagens versus Martone. And then also one of the other guys that's thrown his name into the hat for number 1 is Matthew Schaefer, who very well could be, at 17 years old, a top 4 defenseman for Canada at the World Juniors, which is largely unheard of, but he's that good of a player. And I think that, the discussion after the World Juniors, we always focus a little bit too much on it in terms of what it means for the overall draft. But when you have the 3 top guys, the clear 3 top guys, and playing in the same side of the bracket, you really get to see that head-to-head matchup that is pretty rare in a draft season, unless it's guys playing in the same league. So, the thing about Hagens is, Martone is the big guy. Schaefer is a defenseman, has number 1 potential, but Hagens is going to be a play-driving center, kind of plays the role of like a Jack Hughes style player at BC. They lose Will Smith, they slide in James Hagens, and it's like nothing ever happened. I don't know. There's a ton of great highlights. I know G's probably seen a bunch of them with what BC has done this year. Just those guys just zipping it around, and now you have that line that intact and playing together at the World Juniors. And maybe David Carl will try to like spread the love a little bit and move guys around, but I think the chemistry that those guys have is just unrivaled. And so, James Hagens is a big opportunity for him. He had an okay start to his college season, and he's really taken off in the last few weeks. I think he's playing some of his best hockey right now. When you have 2 guys like Perot and Leonard to dish the puck to, I mean, good things happen. So I'm really excited to see how he seizes this opportunity after being a late cut as an underager last year.
I'm going to ask you too about this with the 4 Nations face-off coming up and USA Hockey, and kind of this is like I know they won World Juniors last year, but this is like I think on a pretty good platform right now for USA Hockey to kind of punch their way in big time into the hockey circle again in Canada with this tournament, and then the Four Nations on the horizon. Playing style, I thought USA played more Canadian than Canada last year, Chris.
Yeah.
And I don't know, playing style with the guys that they have, just in regards to, making themselves have an opportunity to be this like number one nation. Do you see them coming in with that same kind of style that they had, swagger that they had last year with the group they have this year?
I think to a certain extent, yes, and that's kind of led by Leonard. I think that's one of the things that he brings to the table. He has this presence about him, and it's just this, I'm going to get after you. And he kind of drags guys into the fight with them. And then you have kind of some of the other grimy players too, like a Trevor Connolly, who, as long as he stays on the right side of the penalty, he can really be a difference maker for them as well. They've got a pretty big blue line, which they didn't necessarily have last year, but Bouillon is not a big guy, but he's going to play big minutes. He's great defensively. He's really improved in that regard in his game. But then they've got guys like Adam Kleber, Colin Ralph, 6'5", 6'6". I mean, you got some Twin Towers back there. You got some other guys that Drew Fortescue, who you guys mentioned already. He's going to play big minutes. He can lay the lumber a little bit as well. And the other guy that I think has this quiet confidence about him that really is going to be kind of when you take the temperature of Team USA, use Trey Augustine as the thermometer, because he's the guy that really just does everything in net. And I mean, he's coming back for his third World Junior Championship. He's only the third goalie in USA hockey history to play in 3 straight World Juniors. He's got a gold medal already at the U18s and at the World Juniors. And I think he's been even better this year at Michigan State than he was last year. He might be the best goalie in college hockey. It's probably between him and Jacob Fowler, both of whom were on the team last year. Fowler too old this year. But this is Trey Augustine's team as much as it is Ryan Leonard's team, because I think he's the guy that can really be the X factor and be the difference for this team. So I think style of play, it's going to be a fast, physical team, but they're a little bit light up front. They're a little smaller up front this year, which I think is going to be interesting to see that dynamic. But, having a defense that's going to move pucks quickly, having a goalie that you can rely on, and then having a bunch of different guys that you think you can score with and play fast. I think that's a good recipe for USA. I think last year's team on paper was better in terms of talent, but I think this year's team is very similar in terms of style.
Awesome.
Wow. All right. And I'm the Swedish expert of the podcast, so I got a Swedish hat back here. But you always help me out with these guys because you are at these U18 tournaments and stuff. I know Sweden's returning Pellikka and Wallinder and Stenberg, like all first-round picks, studs. But they have a top 10 prospect. Is it William Eklund's brother, right? Or is it William? What's his name?
Yeah, Victor Eklund. Yeah, and we got William. Yeah, yeah.
Victor,
I get them both confused.
Murls is the name guy of our podcast. Beatty. He just
I'm a real Swedish expert. I can't keep the brothers straight, but I know they're both really good. They're both
now, but like I'll tell you what, like the Swedish team, I think the talent of their team lies in their defense. Sandin Pellikka, all those guys. Eklund is, he made the team. We were all talking all season coming in this year about Anton Frundell. He did not make the team. Victor Eklund did. They play on the same they play on the same team in the same club team in Sweden as well. And Eklund is a guy that's shown great promise in the Allsvenskan this year. I think that he'll play a significant role. Big time player for them up front is going to be Otto Stenberg, Blues pick, first round guy. This is another World Juniors for him. He really stepped up last year. They won't have Lekaramaki or Ogren or Oslin, but they're going to have Stenberg, and I think he's an important player for them. But that blue line, Sandin Pellikka was the defenseman of the tournament last year. Very well could be again this year. He's played great in Sweden. I'm excited to watch that team. There are questions about their overall depth and how they're going to compete with the USA and Canada. I think they'll walk through the preliminary round. They're in the easier side of the bracket, but that the tournament really is going to begin for them probably in the semifinals, and you have to come ready to play. And I think one of the problems for Sweden over the years, they don't face a lot of adversity early in the tournament. They get to the time where they get punched in the mouth and then they can't handle it. I think they've got enough guys that have a real sour taste in their mouth from last year for how things went in that gold medal game. They're going to be very motivated and a difficult team in this tournament.
I saw in the chat, people are saying Sweden, hell of a team, undercover, sneaky team. Can they flip the switch is what you're saying, Petey.
Yep.
But built from the back out, like typical Sweden playing style, right? And big defensemen. They're so defensively structured country traditionally with hockey. So will they be there? Will they not? Unreal breakdown. Unreal.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome stuff.
I'm
Yeah,
excited to see it. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the Sweden, you were talking about like sneaky picks. Like I think one of the teams too, Czechs, don't sleep on them because they have been good in the last couple of years. Michael Hrabal, their goalie, plays at UMass. He's inconsistent, but when he's good, he's great. So that's another guy to keep a close eye on. But I like Sweden, I like USA. A little down on Finland this year, but again, you can never really count them out either because of their team style and the way that they play. So a lot of intrigue in the World Juniors this year. I really can't wait. I think it's gonna be a fun tournament.
Yeah, I remember the Hrabal from last year. Big guy. I feel like he let in the goals he shouldn't have and stopped everything that he shouldn't have. It was kind of a couple of those games. I forget who it was. Cut across the blue line and kind of let a floater in. It might have been Pellikka, and he let a floater in like that. But then he made 100 other good saves, and he's great in college. So he could be a guy. Finland guy I got written down is Konsta Helinas, Sabres first-round pick. I remember we watched him together last year in one of those first games, and he was a draft pick, and we knew it right away. He's a stud, little righty, running the half wall, so he's somebody to watch out for too.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's a guy. He's when he's at his best, he is the guy that can take over a game, take over a shift. I thought in various stages of last year's tournament, we saw that, and then he kind of faded away. I think this year, having played in the AHL all season with Rochester, he's used to that grind. He's used to that grimy game. He's had to battle through, physical play, but he's shown tremendous skill. That's a group that I think will be really fun to watch. And then, they have Aaron Kiviharju, who's going to be playing in his third World Juniors as well. A smaller guy on the blue line, but he's their captain now. Drafted by the Wild. Those are guys that, if they're on their game, they have a chance to be real game changers. I think Finland's depth this year isn't as strong as it's been in years past, which is why I'm a little concerned about their ability to compete. But Hellenius is a guy that you put him with anybody, he's going to be, he stacks up well with anybody in the tournament. So that's going to be definitely the guy to watch for them. And Finland's got a tough road. They got to play USA and Canada in the group stage. Yeah. So, that's potentially third, fourth place zone for if you're in the preliminary round, and then you might have to play Sweden in the quarters, which is what you would want to try to avoid. So it's going to be a tough road for them, but I like the group that they have, and especially the star players that they have.
Yeah, it's wild how it can depend what group you fall into. And then if there's an upset over there, I remember last year, I think Canada got upset. Somebody had to play Canada early on, but then they didn't end up being that great either way. But that's a great breakdown. If you see us there, DraftKings, if you got to pick one guy before this tournament starts to go number one overall, who do you got?
Wow.
Because right now on DraftKings, Hagen's is minus 140. So I was thinking of dipping into that.
I think if I'm looking, I might be fishing for value then, and I'm looking at Schaefer. I mean, I think the one thing that I'll say about Schaefer, like I love James Hagens. I think he's a tremendous player. Can I say definitively that he's a number one center in the NHL going forward? I can't say that yet. Can I say Porter Martone is a bona fide top scoring winger in the NHL? I don't feel I can say that. I feel most confident about Matthew Schaefer being a potential number one defenseman, a guy that's running your top power play, a guy that's playing significant minutes. I mean, just before he got picked to the World Junior team, he had this incredible assist for the Erie Otters. I mean, he plays so many minutes. He's so mature, and he's still growing. And as he's growing, he's getting better. So that's the thing. If I'm looking right now and looking straight out into the future, I'm looking at Schaefer as the guy that could potentially upset everything that we've seen or talked about so far this year, just because of how well he's played to start this season. Really impressive player. If he has a big World Juniors, the number one buzz will be very real.
Yeah, and I guess you got to look at which team ends up going to get the number one pick. If it's San Jose, then it sounds like Schaefer. They need a D. They got enough young centers. So I guess you got to kind of wait on that, or you got to roll the dice. We'll see what I do on that one. And give us the pick. Give us the pick.
Who's the winner?
A lot of teams. Who's the winner?
I've been going back and forth on this one, and who knows, I might stick around for some more podcasts and shows. I might have different answers for all of them. But I think right now, as I look at it and I look at the final roster for USA, I think that the difference maker for me is Trey Augustine. I think he's the best goalie in the tournament. I think he's the kind of guy that can steal you a gold medal. I think that's kind of what's going to have to happen. The thing I like about USA is they've got that number one goalie, a number one defenseman, a good number one center, but really that number one winger, the guy that's going to drag you into the fight, Ryan Leonard. I think he's going to potentially be the MVP of the tournament with how well he's been playing for Boston College this year. So I'm going to go with USA, who I went with last year. Again, I might be the American guy. I don't like to make the homer pick, but I I usually the hardest on the USA, and I think there were a couple of interesting decisions with the final roster. That said, Augustine, Bouillon, Leonard as the trio, I'll take them against any other 3 players in this tournament, and that's why I'll have USA as the gold medal team for me.
There, you heard it from Petey, but we got to get a Petey USA hockey disclaimer for next year's breakdown lead up to the tournament. And I see in the chat too, Murls has got to get a Sweden one. No, Murls is just come on, Murls.
Hey, my kids are half. I gotta be
true.
on Sweden. I got a legitimate case now.
All right. I'll give it to you.
Awesome, Chris. Thanks for coming on again. We
thanks,
look forward
buddy.
to seeing you, and maybe we'll have you back for the draft show if you pick this USA winning the gold, and we'll know maybe who has the first pick, and we can really get into DraftKings and take them down.
Yeah, well, I'm always happy to put a little more money in your pocket, Murls. No problem, buddy. So yeah, thanks, boys. It's great to be with you, and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everybody out there.
Yeah, safe travels, buddy. Have a great holiday. What a guy! What a breakdown. There's all
I need the money in my pocket. I need the money in my pocket. When I go out drinking with, I don't remember what happened, so I don't know what happened to all the money I had. So, Petey's awesome. I had so much fun with him. Obviously, as I don't remember which city it was in, but that's for another day, another story. We got to move on to Canada. We got your guy coming in, Army.
Mike Lucky. There he is. Let's
hey, boys,
go.
how are you?
Long
Lucky
time
Mike
Oshawa.
Luck.
Yeah, Oshawa Generals, long time. The voice, Lucky of the Oshawa Generals, junior hockey, OHL, NHL coverage. You do it all. Great personality and voice of our game up there. We just had Petey on with the full USA breakdown. I'm sure you were in the green room, as we call it, digitally.
How do you follow that?
Yeah, pretty impressive breakdown by him. He's got his boots on the ground, or ear to the ground, as we call it. But I'm pumped to talk to you about Canada. I got to know about my team. I got to have them there. I can't. They're playing USA possibly twice in this tournament too, with the wagon that they are. We know Canada's got to be there. So how are you feeling about this year's crop of kids on this team?
Pumped, absolutely pumped. And in Canada, New Year's doesn't start until you play USA on New Year's Eve. You don't start celebrating until you've played USA on New Year's Eve. And so looking forward to that and this game. They played their first prelim game last night against the Swiss, and big 7-1 win. It was dominant. They looked great. Extended roster for Canada kind of helps, and that was one of the real question marks going through the selection camp, and how that would all work out, who would be invited and who didn't get invited, the snubs. It's all the talk. Of course, this is bigger than most of the holidays for a lot of hockey fans here in Canada, is that what happens in the World Juniors and what happens with Team Canada. Of course, last year, huge disappointment, not making the quarterfinals, or out in fifth place and knocked out the quarterfinals. It's just so difficult to take when that happens. If Canada's not in the final game, we have hockey summits because of this, and we have to discuss and change the program and figure out what's wrong with hockey in Canada based on one tournament. So you could say the hype is real for this one.
Yeah, I was at the games last year in Gothenburg, and it was just so disappointing because they have half the stadium. The Canadian fans, they travel, they go wherever. And just like you said, in the semifinals, when they aren't into it, they're not into the game. Some of them don't show up because they're still at the bars in Sweden. It's a little bit less empty. So we always want Canada in there. I'm looking at this roster, and you obviously when you read, you start top to bottom, left to right. What movie is that from? Tommy Boy? I see Bradley Nadeau there, my good friend from Maine. I think he's going to have an incredible tournament. What are your thoughts on him? Although you probably don't get to see him too much, seeing he's in NCAA, now he's in the AHL.
Yeah, playing in the AHL now, Carolina first rounder, and he's playing on a line. If Dave Cameron goes with the line that he had like last night, he's playing with Callum Ritchie, the Colorado first rounder, plays at Oshawa, and I see him a lot, obviously. And then on that too, Easton Cowan from the London Knights. And so Bradley Nadeau would slot perfectly on that line. And you're talking a high power offensive line that are also very smart hockey players and can play defensively too. So, 200-foot game. And I think that was a big part of the selection process for Canada. They had to wait on Nadeau to be released from the AHL to come back. So he missed the first part of the camp. So a bit slow getting in. And of course, in a quick tournament like this, chemistry is so huge all the time. And can you build chemistry quickly with your line mates? And well, Cowan had a hat trick last night. So that line certainly had the chemistry early, and Nadeau looked great on it. He kind of worked in and out of the lineup. They ran Gavin McKenna through that line last night, and I don't know what the script is. No one really knows exactly how they're going to fit McKenna in and where he's going to slot in, power play specialist or not. But just they've got a dynamic lineup, and Bradley Nadeau is going to be a big part of it.
Yeah, Gavin McKenna plays out in the Western League, Medicine Hat Tigers. Cousin to Connor Bedard is absolutely just lighting it up. And, you see him on there, like, where are we going to fit him? Like, this kid's an electric factory, and they have an extra guy like that. So to your point, the extended rosters helps out with some of these teams, and especially with Canada with some of the talent. I want to ask you about the D. We heard PD just talking about Schaefer. You see a lot of him, obviously. Just talk about him really popping and his name just flying right now, but his overall game, and also Molendyke. Molendyke plays the Saskatoon Blades out west. He's like a man amongst boys out in that league, just smooth skater, rock solid stud right now for the Blades. I'm in Nashville right now. They're going to love this kid when he comes here.
Absolutely.
But
yeah,
just about those two in particular on the back end. Of course, Bonk there as well. Flyers pick. They got some big guys back there too.
Yeah, Bonk, of course, son of Radek Bonk, and he's got a bit of an axe to grind too. That puck went off him against Czechia last year as the overtime winning goal, or the late winning goal that knocked him out of the tournament. So, he's got a bit of an axe to grind coming into this tournament, and he's going to play mean and physical. Yeah, when you talk about Molendyke, last night he was on complete display. His feet, his movement is so good. He is such a great skater of the puck, and he jumps in offensively. He's just such a great offensive talent. And when you put like a big body on the back end with him, Andrew Gibson, who's going to block shots and just play that defensive role, gives a guy like Molendyke just a chance to go skate and make plays. And he certainly can do that. And, Chris just said about Schaefer, when you look at him and the way he's moving up the draft rankings, it's a guy that you have to consider as a potential number one overall pick in the NHL next year, depending on what your team needs. And, I think, Murls, you said it right. If San Jose gets that first pick, they've got Macklin Celebrini. They need a D, and they need a guy who is so smart, such a great skater, puck mover, has the shot. He has all the tools in the chest in order to make something happen and to move up to be that number one pick. Either way, he's going to be in the top three in that conversation. And Canada, an interesting lineup because of that, right? We talk about draft eligible players. This is a scout's dream to come watch this tournament in Ottawa this year. You got Porter Martone up front, who's also in the conversation to be top five, probably top three, could be first overall as well, depending on how perhaps he plays in this tournament in the second half of the year. Jack Ivankovic, the goaltender, also draft eligible. Whether he'll get a lot of a look, not sure. Maybe in one of the games he'll get a bit of a sniff, but it looks like it's probably Carter George's net to lose at this point for Canada. And of course, we talked about Gavin McKenna. He's not draft eligible this year, a double underage. He's got another year to go. And you're right, burning it up for Medicine Hat. 2 points a game in the WHL right now. He just turned 17 today.
Crazy.
So, as a 16-year-old, he's 2 points per game, leading the WHL. Colby, I know when you were in the WHL as a 16-year-old, you were a point per game guy, but it was 1 assist in 1 game. It's good, but
no, I wasn't near this kid. Like what this kid's doing, the highlights I'm seeing on him. Of course, It's hard to tell, but oh my God, like the skating, the vision, the hockey sense, the skill and ability to affect and change a game at his age and in a hard league. Really, I think the Dub's really, like, out of all the leagues with the travel and everything you have to go through, he's a monster. So I'm sure they'll find a way to fit him in. I see too right now. Lucky, like Molendyke, obviously. I saw in the chat, Moss Sports World it's telling me to pump these guys, and I love it, so I'm going to do it just right now. Molendyke with the Blades. We've got Catton, Price, Yager, all Saskatoon boys, where my neck of the woods where I am. I think Yager was he named captain, I believe, of this team, and a guy that has had a good tournament last year for the most part. Then that big trade, so for him, that's a big step up with that role here with Team Canada now.
Big tournament too for Molendyke, because remember, he made this team last year, but they got hurt in the prelims, a wrist injury, and so he had to miss the tournament. So a chance to come in and play, show off his skills, and he's got such a great skill set. The Dub is very well represented. The O has 14 players on this team, and it's just a matter now of how they come together and how they gel. And it always is. This tournament, when you watch it, these are all dominant hockey players. There's all high-end NHL talent hockey players and will be. But what do you do with a guy who's normally playing, some of these 27, 26 minutes, and then you ask him to drop down and play 18? Can they get into it quickly and still fill that role that you need them to?
Yeah, that's what my question was too. Is I see Yager on that depth chart we had up. He was fourth line. That guy's he was a top 10 pick, right? Just traded for Cutter Gauthier, who was dominated the World Juniors.
I think he was 20th, Murls. I think he was like a 21st or 20th overall pick to the Penguins when he was drafted.
Yeah,
but yeah, like he's a thoroughbred. He can skate, and so where you fit these guys, right? Yeah, Lucky, I got to ask you, how do you feel about with the results from last year's World Juniors for Team Canada? We've got, this Four Nations face-off on the horizon, and a lot of, USA, they won last year World Juniors, and then they're getting a chance now. I feel like USA is like saying, hey, this is our year. What's the sense in having this tournament in Canada too, with this team coming in? There's always that added pressure on these guys, but I think that Four Nations adds that as well as like, oh shit, like we can't get knocked off our thing here. Like we're Canada, we got to do this. Is there a sense of that kind of around this team from, bleeding over from last year? Yes. But just the hype around this international play right now at the men's level and here at the juniors?
Yeah, I think you've got a dark cloud over your head because of what happened last year. But I think, those in the know at Hockey Canada know that was an off year, and just the way that birth pool looked, the 2004s. And so now you've got a new group in there. They have, as I said, with the draft eligible guys, really changed up this group a bit and added some talent that are not drafted. The players they left off the board are huge too, right? A guy like Andrew Crystal, who was a fantastic special teams player and dynamite. Beckett Seneca got the snub, as did Zane Parekh, a couple of already high NHL draft picks.
I feel like Parekh was Lucky. I feel like Parekh was like, when I saw it happen, I was like, it was like a big thing on social media when I saw it. Like, can you believe it? This guy got cut. But I feel like it was rather like obvious, like that they didn't want to pick him on the team or something, just the way like how it happened. I feel like
invited to camp, right? Same with Beckett Seneca, third overall pick to the Ducks last year, not an invite to camp. They both get there because of injury, but is the writing already on the wall basically when they get there into a selection camp where they weren't invited in the first place? But yeah, you left a lot of talent. And anytime, listen, it's Canada. We've got hockey talent here. We've got a deep pool. We know that it's not like you're looking at a Kazakhstan group trying to find 25 guys who can play at the level. We could make 3 teams here and still, not win, but certainly have a legit team out of anyone. And so with that, I think, you look at the snubs that were there, but they've got something in mind, right? They're looking at players for that role. A lot of people, I think social media blew up about the pick of Luca Pinelli, who is, a Columbus Blue Jackets 4th rounder, but he plays in Ottawa. He plays for Dave Cameron, the head coach. So, you know him. And, if you're Dave Cameron and you're looking to ask a guy to play a role of just special teams, perhaps, or go in and just play a role, wouldn't you rather have a guy that you really know and you can talk to outside of it? And it's the guy that you've trusted for the last 3 years.
You know what he can do. You know what he can do. 100%. I think that happens. That happens too. Like look at like what John Cooper did with his guys that are on Team Canada as well. It's trust factor is huge, especially in those kinds of role player positions that I know this guy. Like I don't even have a question about this guy.
Exactly. And that's it. And I know that if I tell him to just go play this role, that you're playing 7 minutes tonight, but just special teams, then he'll do it. And yes, anyone will say, I'll go through a wall for you, coach, and I'll do that. But at the end of the day, he's going to go back in the room and say, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. They're not using me right. Well, he knows Pinelli well. And so I understand that pick. Well, many are upset about who was left off. You can only take 25. So you have to make some cuts somewhere. And no matter what, there was going to be questions.
Well, me and Murls were cut.
Yeah. His agent's telling him, no, you just play your game. His old coach is telling him, no, you keep playing. He knows what his guy's going to do. He's going to go play for him. It's like us with Terrian. He knew what he's getting out of us. He'd call us up. He'd bring us up. He knew we would play his style and he could rely on us defensively, rely us in the locker room, not to be dipshits. And I think that's important. You're seeing it more and more in the NHL now, where if there's dipshits in the locker room, it's not going to work. You're not going to win. And the culture is a big thing. So when you're a coach, you have a guy that plays for you, bring him along.
Absolutely. Yeah. And familiarity, knowing that you can trust the guy and put him in that role, and that will be this kind of feel out process. 2 more prelim games for Canada before we get into the tournament, and then now it's about finding chemistry, finding those lines, and as I said last night, that top line, Callum Ritchie is just a dynamic player who's just so smart, but he doesn't need to be the top guy. I see him a lot in Oshawa.
Yeah.
He's been fantastic for the last 3 years. He'll set up Beckett Seneca here. He'll set up Colby Barlow, the Winnipeg first rounder. And if he needs to score a goal, he'll go score a goal. He can take over a game. But at the end of the day, you'll see he's got 3 or 4 points, but he's just been a difference maker in that. And now he's playing with a guy in Easton Cowan from the London Knights who's just, you want to talk about on fire. Like, he's on a 56 game heater, like a 56 game point streak.
Did you hear how it ended?
Yeah.
This guy next to me here, he had to talk about it and talk about the London Knights. And then the next thing you know, he gets knocked out and they lose the winning streak.
That's right. But, he's all right, which is good. Yeah. He had to sit out the camp, but he'll be ready. He's good to go. Played last night, had a hat trick. He's right back into it.
Fuck lucky. He got popped, eh? Holy shit. He got popped in that game.
And, there was a couple of big hits in that game. Ben Danford, the Toronto Maple Leafs first rounder, laid a huge one. And Zach Sandu, props to him. That was a big hit and a heck of a game. And I don't know if you saw Seneca's goal in that game.
Oh, my God.
Highlight rule everywhere. And I don't even know, how these kids think about that in that speed that, one is to say I'm going to go between my legs full speed and go around Sam Dickinson, a first rounder. But then 2, to say, instead I'm going to kick it back to my stick and then go root.
Yeah, that was like a little play on an old move that he just invented something new with the change of direction on the route on that move. It was unbelievable to see. And he's so lanky and weird looking a little bit with the way he plays that it made it look even cooler that he's like one of those blow up dolls outside the tire store. Those things that are flopping around with their arms going everywhere. So he's got that ability. But before we want to get his predictions here, Murls.
Yeah, let's get who's going to win the gold and who's going to win the MVP.
Oh boy. All right. Well, everyone's looking at Gavin McKenna and whether or not this kid can come through. And I'm worried about the minutes and where they fit him in. He's a guy that's a game changer. Absolutely. He showed it at the under 18s. They have an Alinka. He's a winner. He can take over hockey games. Will he be the MVP of the tournament? I don't know. I'd have to go with Easton Cowan right now. It's a kid that he's just so hot that it's untouchable. If you put him on that line, a top line, at huge minutes, I think Easton Cowan, who was the MVP of the OHL last year, the MVP of the playoffs, I think he's going to be your MVP of the tournament. And yeah, Chris went homer route with
let's go
USA. I got to go with Canada. It's home ice advantage too, right? He's talking about, the 50-50 is going to be in the 6 figures for this game in, game out. That's how crazy it is. And you can go on up at Murls and buy yourself a ticket and scout it.
Yeah, we'll tell our coworker Big Cat. He'll find somebody to buy in the tickets up there for that. He lives for those big ones.
I think the home ice advantage is going to play a huge factor because that building is going to be rocking and it's going to be intimidating for anyone else to play in. It's going to be Canada USA. I think right through. It's what the predictions say for sure. Is that they think it's a Canada USA, but it's a short tournament, right?
Yep.
One bounce the wrong way can really change things for your team and get you on your heels at least. I think Canada at home ice advantage is really going to play. I'm
so concerned that it's not going to go our way, Lucky, and I know. And then we're going to get to the 4 nations and this USA juggernaut that they have. I can't deal with that. I will flip my allegiances pretty quick. Don't get me wrong, but I this is just a lot on the plate for Canada, Canadian hockey right now with the way USA is looking too. So a little bit scary. OHL stuff. What are we watching for this year? We touch on the league a little bit. You cover Oshawa and have been for a long time. You've seen a lot of stuff and a lot of hockey. What's I got to get your kind of some predictions this year coming out of there and what these teams look like. We just talked about London and their crazy winning streak, but some strong teams out of the O.
Yeah, listen, you can't really bet against the London Knights ever. It's a program that doesn't rebuild; it just retools, and it is the marker for every other team in the OHL to kind of to follow along. And yet they could have more players on this Team Canada team and in this tournament as well. Denver Barkey is one of the guys who was left off, who plays with Easton Cowan on a regular basis. So. They are the juggernaut of the West. You mentioned the winning streak was a 19-game streak that they were on. It was just snapped by Oshawa. Oshawa would love to be in the conversation. They went against London to the OHL final last year and they certainly have the pieces in place with Seneca and Richie to start, and a good back end as well. But there's other teams that are certainly making moves, and the Brampton Steelheads were part of Porter Martone playing Jack Ivankovic. They haven't had a full lineup. Injuries have really riddled them to start the season. The Barrie Colts are making a move as well. They're adding more players, and they've got Bo Wakey, who's in the lineup for Team Canada, who had double shoulder surgery last year, but he's back, and the Edmonton Oilers pick is ready to go. So I think it's going to be a very competitive East, all to try and get up against London in the West.
Perfect.
Nice.
Yeah,
We'll be watching.
Knights, we
maybe
all know about them. So
we got to get lucky. We got to get you to Memorial Cup this year. Get your team. Oshawa,
Yeah.
let's go. Get lucky.
I'll take a trip to Rimouski. I'll meet you there.
Yeah, Rimouski. Maybe we'll be there.
Is that the bet we're making? If Oshawa makes it, we'll go.
We got to go hang out with Lucky. 12 days.
We'll get you some good seafood, and Sammy Cosentino will be there for sure.
Hell yeah, he'll be there. Hell yeah, buddy. Well, thanks a lot. Thanks for the preview. Thanks for the time.
Lucky.
Thanks for waiting with PD, who we had on for the USA preview. So we really appreciate it. The chat's buzzing, and everyone appreciates a little preview and tone setter for this World Juniors coming up this year, buddy. Good luck riding the buses and working. Congrats on all the work you've done as well. Great having you.
Guys, my pleasure anytime, and thanks for having me. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to all of you too.
Yeah, you're
Awesome.
the man.
Thank you so much. Merry Christmas. Awesome. Two great guests for us to preview them. I got two other players for you to know about, though, Arm Dog. I didn't know if these guys were going to bring them up, but I got them on the sheet here. Slovakia, obviously big underdog team. Miro Slatan's son is on the team.
Oh.
6'7" centerman for Slovakia. So I'm looking forward to seeing him.
I got to see this guy. He's probably looks like one of those balloon things outside the tire store on steroids.
Yeah. So that's some amazing genes there. If you got Miro Satan, that guy was an absolute stud for the Sabres. And then the Kazakhstan team, who is going to get just killed by everybody. Their captain is Azion Zhevkov. He played Acha hockey. That's club hockey at Illinois Chicago last year. So I thought that was a funny stat that this guy was playing club hockey last year, went over to Kazakhstan, played one game for the KHL team somehow, and now he's captain of the World Junior team. So I'm interested to see what that guy looks like.
Yeah. Hey, and I'll say it. Hey, club hockey is college hockey. They love saying that. So way to go. Keep an eye out for that guy. I can't wait to see Shatan's kid, that monster, just playing. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
Isn't that unreal?
I think it's sick. I couldn't believe it. I know it's scary, though. It's that we're getting this old, and it's guys we played against or played with. Their kids are in the tournament. Ugh.
I know. That's nuts. I got to ask you, Murls, you celebrate your birthday, too. Switching gears a bit. How was that? How was the party?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
Just Swedish. Oh, there it is. There it is. The Migs. Megs. That's my old college house, the Shea. Know who lived there with me? Benny Barr. Roll the humane disclaimer. But this night started with me and him playing one-on-one beer pong with Captain Morgan. You see the table. We had a beer pong table. We moved it right into the living room for the spring. This is junior year. You see the blonde hair. We used to dye our hair blonde for the playoffs.
Yeah, that was big. That was big back then.
Yeah, so just some crazy stuff in there. A lot to unpack in that video. But yeah, good birthday. Feel like I turned 35 for the 10th time in a row. I think Kopitar said something like that. It was a great line. Good time with the kids, with the wife. They got me some nice presents. They got me a Buffalo Bills hoodie.
Oh,
obviously.
that's big.
I've been telling you guys all, they're the best team in the league. They just keep showing it week after week. We had some cake, some coffee. Kind of been off the booze. No partying for me. We got a party tomorrow for Christmas. Built the outdoor rink. The outdoor rink is in its beginning stages over here, but nothing crazy. Not like the old days, Arm Dog.
Yeah, I know. Hey, life slows down a bit. Hey, life just slows down. We just got to take it easy. We don't, you know what doesn't slow down? If I could switch gears for us here and get us into it, just snap it around a little bit. A little section we like to do here in the NHL. Trades are popping off, Merles. That's not
early trade deadline.
I know. We got the Rangers are like they're searching, bud. They're searching. Their house is on fire. They don't know what to do. We had this massive trade. Capo Caco, young, second overall pick in 2019. It's like, not finding a fit. He's kind of been under the microscope, obviously, with Kenny Pop. When's his play going to take off? He's still pretty young, but after trading Trouba, we saw this trade for Will Borgen. a third, and a sixth. So they're acquired defenseman and Will Borgen from Seattle, and they get some capital with some of that draft prospect or picks that they can maybe do some more work with as well. What do you make of them moving on from this guy, buddy? Like I think
wild.
It's just wild. Like they're just not playing good. They don't have the answers. Like your boy Laviolette he looks like he's in Lindy Ruff territory. He has to have the answers, but he doesn't have the answers. Like Therrien says, there's no.
I like Kakko. He's like, I don't know why I was healthy scratched. I liked how honest he was about that. It's wild to think back, and I don't want to say this because I know who's going to pop their head in here, is that back in the draft when he went number 2, there was tons of talk of him going number 1 to the Devils, but the Devils stuck with Jack Hughes, small, young guy, but they stuck it out, and thank God they did, huh, Pasha?
Yeah, a lot of these scumbag Rangers fans were saying how much better Kakko is than Hughes. There's a viral video of the whole arena chanting when the Devils took Jack Hughes first overall because they thought, they knew they'd get Kakko. And Stephen Valiquette, stay hot, another clip of him talking about how much better Kakko is than Jack. So, really unfortunate to see the Rangers melting down. You hate to see it. But one thing I want to remind people is Kaapo Kakko, this is a player who 2 years ago was a quote-unquote untouchable for Jack Eichel, who less than a year ago was a quote-unquote untouchable in the Gensel trade. And now they trade him for a very underwhelming response. So talk about brutal asset management, Mickey Mouse franchise. You hate to see it.
Yeah, I seen that popping up and flying around. People are saying the disclaimer. He played the disclaimer. If you've joined us late at the start,
everybody.
When he comes in with scumbag Ranger fans right out of the gate, he's just dying. I was like, we maybe should have done it again. But that trade, that kind of trade bait scenario with Kakko and like what he could have got in a piece in certain trades, and they didn't want to do it. They didn't want to do it, and now they did it for Will Borgen and a couple picks. Like it's like, how far. The world spins on. It reminds me of that movie. What's it called? Draft Day. And Kevin Costner, he's trying to make those moves, and he plays that hand with that guy. He's like, we don't live in the same world we lived in 5 minutes ago, buddy. And
overplayed the hand.
Yeah, and now you're just stuck there, and this team's imploding, exploding, whatever you want to call it. And the kind of panic button is hitting, and the times are different right now for the Rangers. So it's been crazy to watch. I see people in the chat, guys, too, like, Is it crazy to you? I know I can't ask Pasha this question realistically because I know what he's going to say, but is it crazy like the fall off of this team and where they're at right now compared to like what they've been the last several years and like what they were supposed to be this year? Like
were they up 2-1 in the Eastern Conference Finals? And I think leading maybe in game 4.
Yeah.
If I'm not wrong. And now they're a disgrace.
Yeah, crazy big turnaround in 6 months. But
buddy, they got shut out. They got shut out by the Preds 2-0. It seems like literally can't score right now. Like they're struggling so bad to score. Shut them out.
The one thing I will give Drury credit for is for realizing how fraudulent the team was. You know what I mean? Because they had a hot start this year, but he looked under the hood and he realized we're getting propped up by this Shesterkin guy. He's elite. But I mean, like I've said for years, this team is slow, inefficient 5-on-5. So I actually give him credit for being like, this is not sustainable and for blowing it up. But just really, really tough to see. Really tough to see.
Yeah. All right. So then there's a couple other smaller moves. Carrier from Nashville to Montreal. P.O. Joseph back to your Penguins. They had a breakup, the Joseph brothers. I just got done watching them make a team dinner together on the lead up to the Winter Classic show that's going around. So you feel bad for those guys getting broken up, but what's the quote? Don't be sad because it's over. Be happy that it actually happened. Like that's something they'll have the rest of their lives. They did get to play together a little bit, and now it's time to move on. Blues are just making moves nonstop.
Oh yeah, they're firing that Barron. So last night, Barron's like travel from Montreal to try to get to Nashville, I guess, was a gong show. It showed him walking into the rink last night, like right off the flight, pretty much, and trying to get down here. So, and P.O. Joseph arrived yesterday as well for the game. He took warm up but did not play. But it's funny seeing those guys. There's like a little bit of hype of like, midday today, 2 guys joined their teams on both sides that arrived and unable to make it there in time. But NHL's crazy. I saw those pictures of the Joseph brothers too. If they were doing like Christmas brother pictures, it was just insane. So
they had a good Halloween costume too. I forget what they did. The white
chicks.
Yeah, that was good. It's good that they got to play together. So we've been talking about these trades and what teams can do and what they can't do because everybody has a no trade clause now, right? You can't move anybody. How about like if you do this, you think this could ever happen? You do a no trade clause. Yes, I'll give you the no trade clause. You're signing with me, Army. But I'm signing you as you had a point a game last year. And that's what I'm signing you for, the 8 times 8. Everybody's getting 8 times 8. But soon as you go below that point per game, then your no trade list is gone. Or you do it based on the team. Like, yeah, I'll give you the 8x8 with no trade clause as long as we're in the playoffs. Soon as we drop out of the playoffs, then I can trade you. Like something like that, because these guys are just getting 8 times 8. They're all in Buffalo getting 8 times 8, and they're all horrible. They don't even care. Why would they care? They're not going to care until that 8th year. Do you think something like that would ever happen, or the PA would just?
That'd be interesting to do that. I mean, to have those kind of clauses in there where, hey, we predict you're a 20 goal, 20 assist guy, 40-point guy. You know, let's just say like a third liner. That's a veteran guy that is like battled hard through his career. He's 32 years old. Like, we're going to give you this 5-year deal. But if you're, you know, by a certain time, put a clause in there of the time. And if it's there, we'll give you the 3 years, no trade, because you got 4 kids and you love like going to Kid Rocks on a Thursday night and just getting fucking loaded and being front row at the stage. Okay, we'll give you that security. But if you don't hold up your end of the bargain by this date, if you're not on pace, your no trade thing's gone. Wife's pissed. Kids.
Not like we're definitely trading you, but now if shit hits the fan, we can actually make deals.
That's interesting.
The team up.
That's an interesting idea, Murls.
Yeah. Maybe
I kind of like the thinking of that.
Tell some GMs I know, start putting those in the deal so we can get some more trades, get some action in the league.
Hell yeah, that's a good move. So big trades happening, snap it around. Obviously, games roll on, and we'll get to that with our EBR on the weekend section. But where do you want to go?
Yeah, let's rip through the all game notes team of the week. There's a couple guys on here I got to bring up for different reasons, but I'm going to let you start off right at the top there.
All right, at the top, we see the big German, Leon Draisaitl, 2 goals, 6 assists, 900 career points, the 5th fastest born outside of North America to do so. This guy is a horse. Did he set up the OT game winner to Ekholm last night in that game? A little comeback against G's Bruins.
Yeah, he had 3 points. I think he had 3 points. He had a point on all the goals.
Yeah,
I had him a few nights ago over 1.5 points. He gets that every night. The guys,
I feel like 2 points is nothing for him. Yeah, like that's like odd. It's like nothing.
Yeah, only a 2.
Yeah,
he's not happy after 2, like Thomas Sorovi used to be when he wouldn't get a goal and we would win in Wilkes-Barre.
Mr. Romans in the chat, Murls can take over for Kevin Adams as the GM of the Sabres. That would be unreal, Murls. That would be calculated. That would be cool.
You would have to. I think you bring in Tim Conley first. You need a Buffalo Sabres legend, a skilled guy, a guy that's smart player to run the team, and then I'll
like
be
a Danny Briere type, right? And then you come in and you're the hammer. You're the side piece hammer.
You remember those good Sabre teams back in 06, 07, first line center, Drury, GM of the Rangers, second line center, Briere, GM of the Flyers, third line center was Tim Conley, GM of your team. Derek Roy was the 4th line center.
It should be written. That's actually, that's unbelievable. Those teams were electric back then.
Yeah, that was it. But all right, keep moving on to a team that is doing well, Ottawa. I put Brady Tkachuk on here. I didn't even look up his points this week. All that matters is last night, he took care of business. I did my DraftKings Murls minutes. I picked Ottawa. I'm 4-1 now, thanks to Brady. He took a stick in the face, lost 1 tooth, I think 9 stitches, come back, gets the OT winner. When you deliver an OT winner in that fashion for my Murls minute, you're always on the game notes team.
That's awesome. Yeah, he's going to be on. We interviewed Matthew Tkachuk on TNT on Wednesday night in that game. They just shit kicked Minnesota. And, you know, he had a big night, couple goals, but we asked him about playing like the Joseph brothers. They never played together like real hockey on the same team, like for the Four Nations. They're going to be a wrecking crew, those two. And Brady is huge and he's a lunatic. And you put on that jersey, you put them two together in the room and it's going to be just insane. So yeah, he's captain of that Sens team, Murls, and they're rolling pretty good right now.
And I'm thinking Brady Tkachuk, it got announced that he's going to be on the Amazon series behind the scenes this year. I'm wondering if they have the rights to go into the Four Nations. Are they going to be in the Four Nations locker room?
It's an NHL event. It's an NHL event. So I'd imagine they have I'd imagine they'd have clearance to cover that in some capacity if they're following him. All right. Up next on the list, Tuvo Teravainen. Turbo. I got that.
Surprised you didn't leave that for me.
Yeah, I should have left that one to you. That would have been fucking hilarious to hear you try to do that. Off of Chicago, goal, 7 assists, +6. The new coach in there, Sorensen, he's got them buzzing a little bit right now. They're starting to produce, starting to get some things going, which is nice to free them up. Assists on 5 straight goals. On Hawks have won 3 in a row. So Turbo picking it up, and Sorensen, maybe the secret message. And you called it last show, right? Like guys got, Richardson fired, and they just, the whole Bedard thing, and hadn't been scoring. And now these guys are freed up. They're winning some games, and they're starting to produce a little bit too.
Yeah, Chicago's hot. Watch out. We're headed there soon. We're going to see them at the Winter Classic. I will not be betting on them no matter. They could win every game from here until then. But against the St. Louis Blues outdoor game, Monty, Steen, I will be on the Blues just to foreshadow that pick. Next up, Ekblad. I haven't seen this guy much. We'd never have him on the game notes team, but he had a good week. And Florida's Florida, so 1 goal, 3 assists. I had to throw him on there.
Yeah, and he's playing rock solid there, right? No Montour there. He's just playing a little bit more of that role, and big Viking can just wheel around out there, but producing as well. Good pick to put him on there. Carlson, a guy that's been taking it on the chin, and rightfully so with his play. I will say this: the last 5-6 games, totally different Carlson. Not sacrificing the D to try to produce or anything. Like, he's engaged, he's on it. When he's in the D zone now, he's stick on puck and not just standing, not just I'm here. He's getting into guys now. He's ending plays. He's totally engaged. Difference of his play right now, and been a major factor why the Penguins are doing so good. Scored his first goal in I think 20 some games last night, and was instrumental in their overtime win in Nashville. A couple assists in this time, a +4. I know you like those +4s too, Murls. Carlson. That's
why I had to put him on there. We've been hard on him, but he +4.
He's surging.
I love the play last night on Sid's goal when the D gets the clapper like this.
Oh yeah,
and then slides it right to the back door on the backside. Matt Robinson used to give me those here in Timrah every game. It was the best play. Nobody ever saw it coming. Matt Robinson is going to be our future guest. We got to get him on the show. This guy, he played in the KHL, all the top teams. He's played with every top Russian player. So I'm trying to lock him in to get him on here and tell us not only about those players,
have some stories,
some Russian stories. So look forward to that in the next coming weeks. But next up, I had to put this guy on. He got it done for me. I did the Yule board, Swedish video. Everybody won money. Olmark, this guy is on fire. 7-0, 0.99 goals against his last 7 games, 2 shutouts, 8-0-1 his last 9. He's just on fire. He's so solid. When I'm watching that game this morning, he's right there every time. And he just feels so big, so confident. So Olmark, goalie of the week.
Yeah, he was good against the Pens a few games ago too. They won in overtime. Brady Tkachuk, big OT winner, but he's on fire right now. He's on fire. Remember last year, we added Ottawa into that group of Buffalo and Detroit. Remember that?
Yeah,
Ottawa fans.
We've had them all in that triangle forever.
They're the 3 teams that we've been waiting to pop. Well, is Ottawa starting to pop now? Did they watch my video of me critiquing them on what you need? And maybe is it just Allmark too? So minimalistic with his movements. Like you said, he's big. He's just there. Just a calming effect right now in the sense. Unreal. The rookie, and I know it's a lot of Matvei Michkov talk. I know we can talk about all these other guys, and Celebrini, he gets the chatter. He's hiding out down in San Jose. He is a wizard. This kid is unbelievable as our rookie right now this week. 10th quickest all-time to 20 points in 21 games, 7 multi-point games already. He is mature beyond his years with his play, the way he handles his body and in and out of traffic, decision-making, hockey IQ, in hard areas as well. His shot is fucking insane. This kid is the real deal. This kid, you talk about, we did World Juniors, who was the snubs, who didn't make it. I mean, it might be by the end of this year or coming up to that tournament there, we might be going, oh, how the hell is Celebrini not on this Team Canada?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's how good he's playing. Yeah, let me tell you a couple of the names on that fastest 20 points as an 18-year-old. Wayne Gretzky, Ron Francis, Steve Yzerman, Alexander Daigle, another guy we need to get on, Sidney Crosby, who... Did we confirm? Is he getting on? Is he coming on game notes again? Have you asked him?
I maybe I'll ask him today because he scored last night, so he's happy.
Now he's happy. Yeah, get him on. It's almost like a drunk promise, a goal scoring promise.
Patrick
Keane, Dale Howardchuk, Sick name. So
Sick
celebrating
name.
rookie of the week.
So I sent you that video, the birthday wish video with Max
Yeah, it was
Talbot
sick.
and Bugsy pops in the back, giving you a shout out. Great having those guys in town, hanging out, went for lunch with them and stuff. But we were down in the dressing room talking to Sid, little hot stove, he was loving it. Just the old gray hairs hanging around, Max with the gray beard. Max gets a FaceTime or a call and he switched it to FaceTime. Alexander Dag on the phone.
No way.
Yeah, he goes to me, he goes, "Hey, fuck Army, are you getting uglier?" Like when he saw me, he's like a smart ass.
Yeah.
And then he has that big laugh. So we got to get the Daggle on.
I saw him. I think I saw him at the All-Star game last year somewhere, and he said he would come on. He did a documentary, so we got to get him on. We got to watch that and get him on and talk
Inventor
about that.
of Check the Game Notes, Army, after I got my face welded by Gavin Morgan. Absolutely.
I had some fun nights with him in Wilkes-Barre, and now looking back, I'm like, what was I doing with my career?
Well, I guess Talbot's like coaching his kids in hockey, and like Daggle has some kids out there too or something. So they're like, they're crazy hockey dads. They're like calling and talk about ice times and practices. That's what it was about. That's what it was.
He not on the power play, Max? You know about power play, Max. I'm power play. I can just see it. Oh man. All right, that's it. Riding the bus. We got to move this thing along. Riding the bus. No college games this weekend. Everybody's on Christmas break, so no picks. But some great stories come out of the college. St. Cloud State, North Dakota. This Brad Schosselman, I'll shout him out. Reported this. The UND coach was chirping or something. No, it's the St. Cloud assistant is chirping North Dakota coach, saying they're counting the shots on goal wrong, and that the linesmen, because they're from North Dakota, are dropping the puck closer to the North Dakota guys. So they're losing all the faceoffs. And this is just hilarious. But it made me remember a story. So the infamous game where I played for Carolina, my last game preseason in NHL, when Laviolette gave me the plane ticket on the way home to get sent down. That they had me play center. I'd never played center before. So they had me play center that game. You know how to play center? Yeah, I know how to play center. Complete lie. So I get to that's what you do. You're trying to make the team. Yeah. I'll play anywhere. And I get to the game, and lucky enough, the linesman is the one linesman I know. He's from Troy, New York. Tony Saracola. He used to sharpen my skates at DeRossi Sports. So I know him. I go right up to him in warm-ups, and I'm like, buddy, I'm playing center, and I'm trying to make this team. He goes, don't worry, I got you. And I swear to God, I won every draw that night. He was dropping them on my side the entire night. Nobody would have known the difference. I mean, it's not like I took 10 draws in a row. It's 10 draws spaced out, and I went 10-0. Oh, Murls is a center. Still got my plane ticket on the ride down. Forgot to add that part of it. I scored the only goal, and I went 10-0 on draws.
I think I remember a story of that too. That's a pull up another Daggle line. Game within the game, bud. The game within the game. Working the angles and doing that. I think I remember it might have been Endo when he was up in the NHL before he got that horrible high ankle sprain that kind of derailed him. But he was taking face off. He was just getting eaten up all night. I forget who it was against. I'm gonna have to remember the name. It might have been like Scott Gomez was like cleaning him up or something in a game, and came into a face-off, and he's like, "Hey, bud, you're getting cleaned." And Endo's like, "Yeah, I know." He goes, "You need one?" He goes, "Yeah." And he puts his stick in there, and the ref drops a puck, and Endo won the draw back and let him win it so he could get a win. I think it was Endo. I think Endo told me that story. I was
sounds about right.
That's NHL right there. Hey, bud, you need a face-off here? Yeah, okay, I get it. I got one. I got one for you.
Hey, I got an 8x8. Don't worry about it. I'm not worried about anything.
Yeah, what do you got here in Euro Russia?
Not crazy story. I tried to track down this kid. So there's a Canadian on this guy's team, Matt Sazanski. It's a team in Poland. I was trying to confirm this story, but I saw it come across the internet, so it's got to be true. But I wanted to confirm it. But Maxim Sergeyev, a Russian guy playing in Poland, got accused of spying, got thrown in jail for 3 years. So I guess he was in some like group chat of like Putin followers or something. And
really,
and then somebody like got their numbers and told them like, get this apartment. So they bought him an apartment across from some like military building and had him taking pictures. I that's the only part of the story I know. So you guys can dive into it more. I couldn't find more info on it. I was hoping to get that kid to come on and talk to us about it, but I've never heard of a guy getting caught spying. So then I don't know. I don't know where else.
That
to
is
go
a
with that one.
wild story. That's like maybe like, Chicklets TV documentary style stuff. If we could break this thing down and dig into this one on top of the Irish Travelers documentary that we should probably do. We got to get documentaries going here.
Yeah.
Get Fish, get Pasha. Pasha is like ultimate with that stuff. You'll have the drones out. I know drones are popular right now.
Yeah.
You have the drone buzzing around in Poland or something. Crazy story. I'm going to look into that after this, Murls. All right, let's get to the weekend though. This is what everyone's waiting for. EBR, the big Murls. We've got games. We've got games. There they are, right there, buddy. What are you sniffing?
And
I
don't
like
forget
that
what we did last Sunday before we get going
Oh.
on tonight. The 3-game sweep I had on Sunday.
And then I had the parlay with it too. We had
Yep.
it all happening. Everyone was hitting it up. Everyone had it.
Yep.
We were on fire. That was the best Sunday ever. That was a great feeling. I was getting messages and on social media, hit up. Thanks, boys. Thanks, boys. It's good when everyone's rallying together, when everybody rides, Murls. Everyone's feeling good.
That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. We don't need the negative commenters coming at us when we lose a couple games. Don't worry.
No.
We're going to sweep Sunday when it matters most.
It happens. But when we hit it and then you parlay it and then you ram that together, ooh, wee. What are you liking here on Friday?
And then you hit the Murls Minute from DraftKings. All right. So here we go. Goat Head night in Buffalo. Toronto, Buffalo over 6. Also, Matt Murray's in net for the Leafs. Hasn't played in, I don't know, a year and a half, right? I'm seeing goals there. I really want to take the Sabres. I want to take them to break this losing streak, especially because of the Goat Heads. But you know how Toronto travels. Half that building is going to be Maple Leafs fans, if not more. So I'm just going to stick with the over, get the win, and move on.
Yeah, I feel like the Sabres play the Leafs fairly well for whatever reason. I think there's like a little bit of a jinxie curse around Toronto with the Sabres as bad as they are. I don't know why. So maybe that's better just to stick with that. Goals. We're all happy.
But we will hope the Sabres break the streak. Next up, Wild money line -142. It's tough. They're missing the top center, but they got Kaprizov. Kaprizov scores every game. I might as well throw him in as an anytime goal scorer. I feel like every time I watch him, he scores. But I like the Wild at home. Utah's playing better. They're playing pretty good. But in Minnesota, I gotta go with the Wild there. And then I gotta keep fading the Rangers. I've been fading them. They're going down to Dallas. Dallas, one of the best home teams in the league. Stars 3-way -120. Fade the Rangers till they show me something different.
Oh, they're in turmoil. Great. I mean, how do you not? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Veteran move right there, Mur. 100%.
Yeah. And now it's time for Show Minzees, brought to you by Duke Cannon.
All right. Fuck, 2 weeks in a row. I forgot about our Show Minzees little thing we throw up there. I'm such a loser, but maybe you've seen Duke Cannon products in Target, Walmart, or your local hardware store. If not, let me introduce you. Duke Cannon makes a variety of men's grooming goods, Murls. Big ass bricks of soap, thick body wash, beard care stuff, colognes, and hair wash. They also donate money to veterans causes each year through the Duke Cannon Veterans Fund. Simply put, they give a damn, and their products work hard and smell terrific, which is what we all need, especially during the holidays. We're crushing eggnog. It's seeping through our pores. Got to get that big ass brick of soap and scrub down the grundle area where the eggnog likes to seep. Most of the year, I'm a sawtooth thick body wash guy, Murls. Then in the fall, I like the Buffalo Trace soaps, give you that little scent. But right now, during the holiday season, which is here, it's upon us, I put their big ass lump of coal soap on my wish list. It's a holiday classic, like the movie Die Hard. Shop now at DukeCannon.com. It's on Amazon, it's in Target, or it's at Walmart. They are everywhere. Go forth and save up to 20% on Yuletide soap bundles and gift sets. The products, the packaging, you won't find a better gift for the men on your list this year. Go check them out, Duke Cannon.
Yep, get over there. We're down to the nitty-gritty here. Only a few days left to get your gifts, but we're going to move right on here. I'm going to go with my show right away. It's Tom Mulligan. I like to do the trainers. Take care of the trainers. They take care of you. He's the Tampa Bay Lightning trainer. His 2000th game, there he is with one of his 3 Stanley Cups, his 23 seasons with Tampa. Before that, he was in Providence, 5 or 6 years, won a Calder Cup there. Tom Mulligan to the show. It's amazing. Like, Tampa guys are always coming back earlier. They're always healthy, and it's all because of Tom Mulligan. So congrats to him. And he's already in the show, but we'll call him back to the show.
Hell yeah. That's a congrats on that milestone, and obviously a successful career, but those guys do it all. Keep everyone patched up, keep these teams rolling on to the next stop. Always give those guys a shout out. Love those guys. They're the best. My show, Murls, I'm going with Ryan Smith, the owner of the Utah Hockey Club, which is, a name that I'm not really totally down with, but he tweeted this out. We have 700, we had 700 plus people reach out to us to see their first hockey game there with the Utah Hockey Club. I have some respondents he has some tickets for his suite seats. And let's try something new. So he's like stretching his outside the box here, kind of the owner guy. He's buzzing it up. He's trying to give people this awesome experience in his area. And Murls, it's his treat. He says, we're opening up single goal view seats for like cheap money just to get them in there, or giving them away or something. Like you got to get butts in the seats. You got to find a way to grow the game. I'd rather have butts in the seats than no butts in the seats, even if they're cheaper tickets, because this is how you attract fans. This is how you build your game, your brand in that city, and get them hooked on an awesome experience for one. And like, hockey's the best. It's the NHL. And I just think that's like a great thing for him to do in his community. It reminded me, and why I'm putting it to the show is because it reminded me of like in Pittsburgh when we were first kicking around up there. They started this student rush thing. And we go outside before. Can you imagine the NHL before games, though? We put on our tracksuits. They had tracksuits for us. We get up, we tape our sticks, and like it's just before the game. We're about to go for warm-ups almost. Before you start getting dressed, they'd have like 50 pizzas. And we'd run out there in our tracksuits, the student rush line, where they'd have cheap tickets for students at the end of the day, right before a game. The line would be wrapped around the old Mellon Arena. And we go out there in the cold and give these like young kids that are coming to games. It was a great way to build a young fan base, cheap tickets. They could, there's so many colleges in the area, but that reminded me of that. I'm like, what a smart idea for a new owner in a new city, in a rink that's not ready for hockey yet till the renovations are done. And you got tickets that they otherwise wouldn't sell because you only see half the ice. But he's like, hey, come take them here. You have my sweet seats. I got it. Take it. Let's get them in the door. Give them an experience. So I'm sending that to the show.
Yeah, pack the barn. What you do in that case is you just bet the team goals that period. Just keep switching your bets, whatever goal you can see, since you can't see the other end anyway. Right? It's like,
I love that.
Oh, it's Utah this period I'm taking. It's Colorado next period, and then I'll be back on Utah for the third period, or vice versa, or whatever you got to do. But speaking of Utah, that's my Minzees. I came across this on the internet. A Utah fan complaining. I don't know if Pasha has the image. I can bring it up and read it. Utah Hockey Club fan group. I love this team, but the fighting at the end of last night's game was unacceptable. Hockey is about making scores and being gentlemanly to everyone, including refs and opponents. Not about who can punch each other in the face the most. If Utah continues to be a violent team, I'll have to take my hockey fandom elsewhere. I certainly won't allow my children to watch anytime soon. It's not appropriate for anyone under the age of 18. This is just so hilarious. Like, it's just somebody totally brand new to hockey. First off, they call them scores instead of goals.
Yeah.
Being gentlemanly. There's never any part of hockey that's gentlemanly. I do like that. Like the refs, you should be gentlemanly to the refs. There's not that much
wasn't even a fight. I mean, it was like Celebrini wrestled Cooley to the ice. It was like they call it a Gen Z fight now. It's a Gen Z fight where they wrestle each other and stuff. My boy Ken Reed, he hates it up at Sportsnet. Just an absolute beauty. He can't stand that there's no fights anymore. And you have an opportunity like this, all the guys just wrestle and grab on. There's no expectation for fights. Lady, you're in a safe place. It's okay. You can go to the hockey game and it's fun for families and everybody. It's not like Houston's restaurant with, Biz getting in a fight in a family restaurant, as he was calling it. This is a family, and there's barely any fights or any like violence at all in the sport, really. So, Minzees. I love that.
That's mine. Like, if you like watch the news these days, the news is more violent than that. The video games the kids are playing are way worse. So
crazy.
Get out of here with that.
Yeah, beat it. You're in the Minzees. Get on the Iron Lung. Ride it with your kids in the Minzees. Absolutely. My Minzees, Murls, I'm going to piggyback on Witt off of Chicklets. He went off for his annual Elf on the Shelf. I know I've done this as well. Also, it's just like and for people in the chat, it's annoying. Like it's just like every fucking day these things. And then the reason though why I'm sending him to the Minzees is because of the parents or the fake parents that want to make, maybe it's just content, or they're just like my wife says, do less. Like, please do less. They're doing these intricate elf setups. Like, it looks like, they were like out all night long and up to mischief like crazy, instead of just all of a sudden
hide it somewhere.
Instead of they're on the fridge or they're on the mantle, or no, they're in the cereal. They're hanging out with the dogs, or toilet papering and then the kids see these videos of these elves. They catch them on like hidden cameras, right? They're making these there's this intricate videos. They're getting caught while they're like doing all these things in the middle of the night, and like kids watch these videos and they're like, our elves suck. Like, they don't do anything. Like, do less. Quit making us look bad. Why are we doing elves at a Cirque du Soleil event in the middle of the night? And then and the other kids think that the elves hate them because they don't do cool shit. It's like, cut it out with this stuff. You're not creative. You're annoying. Okay. You're annoying.
So last year, my daughter had it. My wife was doing all the first time with it. So she's doing all those ones. And I think the one night she texted me, I'm down there watching hockey. She's like, I forgot it. And I just took it and hung it on the chandelier. And still, she's 3 years old. She still thinks it's hilarious. How do you Tinker Bell get up there? Or Jingle Bell. But this year she didn't want it. She was scared of Jingle Bell. So she said, I don't want Jingle Bell to come this year. I said, oh, perfect. We don't have to deal with it. But,
oh, wow. That's legendary. Send her to the show. That's maturity at its utmost. Maturity is utmost. So I got to do that. That was for my wife too. Jay Miller in the chat. 100% Colby. Hell yeah. Everyone's feeling us. All right. Off of that, Murls, I got to tee you up for Saturday's games. Lots of games on Saturday. My son will be home. The holidays are upon us pretty much around that, really close to that Christmas season. You see there, the 21st, we're right there. We are right there. And you're looking about what? You got like 3 or 4 plays here on Saturday, buddy?
Yes. So I had this game pegged last night. I thought about making it at the DraftKings play of the day, the LA Kings. This team is awesome. They just destroyed Philly last night. Philly was on a back-to-back playing the backup goalie or even third string goalie. I don't know who's back up there or third string, but LA's awesome. They play great. They play as a team. Moneyline -145. We've talked about Nashville. Keep fading them until they show us differently. Also, Edmonton. San Jose at Edmonton, another early game. I love the early games. We talked about it. Draisaitl gets 2 points every night. It feels like over 1.5 points. Usually it's around +100, +115. Next one up, the Leafs. New York Islanders at the Leafs. I'm on the Leafs. It will be a back-to-back, but the Islanders just don't give me anything. Leafs take care of business at home. Wool will be back in the pipes, so I really like that game. And then my Vegas, they did it again last night. They find a way to win at home every time. Seattle, where were they last night? In Chicago. So now they're traveling out to the desert. That's just a tough game. Vegas 3-way +100.
Love it. Yeah. I mean, Vegas is just, against Seattle. I mean, why not? Why not do that? 100%. I love it. Check those out. Saturday plays right there for you. Murl's doing his homework, pen in hand. Look at him. He's just dialing everything in. Sunday, Murls. Our Sunday was hot. This might be the day that everything comes together. The 22nd, you can see that this is going to be big going into the holidays this whole weekend. But if all else fails, Sundays, buddy. We always have Sundays. Look at those 6 games right there.
Sunday. Carolina money line -106. It'll be somewhere around there. Again, fade the Rangers. Tough for Rangers. They're going to go out to Dallas and then right back to New York. Carolina's awesome. They have the mental edge from they're better than the Rangers right now. They're in a better place. The Rangers are just a disaster. Fade the Rangers. Fade Laviolette. Utah, talked about it. I'm going against them, but at home versus Anaheim. Utah at home and against Anaheim. It's going to be a packed building, even the 1-goal seats. So Utah 3-way -106. And then my Avalanche, again, fade Seattle. What a terrible back-to-back. Vegas to Colorado with the altitude. You're dried out from the desert, getting beat up by all those D-man. What do you call their D-core?
Yeah, the Redwoods. The Monstars. The Redwoods. They're just meats.
Then go and sit and go over to the altitude of Colorado. You got McKinnon and McCarr flying around. So Avs 3-way late night Sunday after the Bills demolished Who are they playing? The Patriots this week? They demolish everybody. Doesn't matter.
I'm trying to look here. Yeah, they do. Bills. Yeah, the Bills are, Allen. Let's go. The one thing
Let
for
him
you
run.
Buffalo fans in the chat or everyone listening, at least you've got Allen. At least you've got that until your team ever figures it out. I'm just looking at this Utah Anaheim. I might even do it again. I might run it back, Murls. I might take your Carolina money line, your Utah 3-way, your Avs 3-way, and run it back with a 3-play parlay Sunday. On that day, Christmas, angels sing, 3 wise men, 3-leg parlay Sunday into Christmas. Let's go. I'll do
3
it again.
wise men parlay. I think you might have to do them all puck line and really, fill the stockings with
Why
some
not?
dough.
Why not? Let's do it.
If we have a good Friday, Saturday, we will update the Sunday with puck line 3 wise men parlay.
Hell yeah. That's their weekend.
Yeah,
There's your weekend, folks. What a show today, Murls.
Wow.
What a week. What a week for us. A birthday you had. You had the Yule board or Christmas
Yule board.
Great events.
Got
Everybody
my glug here. I'm gonna have one of these when we're done.
Oh man, I'm going to Jersey right now. I'm going to Jersey as soon as I get off here. Right to the plane with the boys. Fly out to Jersey.
Yep, ask Sid for that Game Notes promo again. Just keep wearing him down. Keep wearing him down.
On him. Creature of habit. He's tough to crack.
Yeah, he is. We'll get him someday. But thank you to the chat, everybody coming in. The chat play is not looking good right now. Shout out to our sponsors, DraftKings. That's my favorite one. Duke Cannon, I love too. Like smelling good, being clean.
What else do we got? Check out the latest Chicklets episode, right? They had Gronk on there. Duchesne goes really under the hood with his career and, his family and, the emotions up and down, the mental part of the game, and just a really good interview. And then Gronk was just off the rails, Gronk style, just going insane. It was so cool to see kind of like those guys that aren't like hockey guys that, it's cool to have that on, especially the personality that is him. So check that out. And Barstool Survivor. Still ticking along. It's really good. It's done great. I had a guy on the Penguins the other day came up to me, goes, "Are you watching Barstool Survivor?" So the boys are watching it. The boys are watching it. So it's awesome. No. I don't
want to give too many spoilers away, but our guy Whitney with the points.
Yes.
But
awesome.
What do you got?
I gotta say, I just want to thank our guests today too before you take us home and get us out of here. Peters, and who else do we have? Oh, Lucky
Mike.
Lucky for coming on with us, Mike Luck. And those guys are awesome. And we had Peters before. So thanks for the time on our World Junior preview.
And reminder, follow us our socials. You see them really small down there in the screen. Us old people can't see them. There they are, really big. Game Notes on Instagram, Game Notes Bud on Twitter. We got to build those up. Going to start putting some extra pics, I think, on those to try to build those up. Make these EBR crew get over there and follow that too. We should build that one up. Find us on audio, Apple, Spotify, all that. Big programming note. We're both traveling to Chicago. The whole Chicklets team is traveling to Chicago on the 27th for the Winter Classic. So we can't do the show on the 27th. So we will do it on Saturday, the 28th. And it'll be a little different show. We're going to do it more as a Winter Classic preview of that game. We'll really break into that game. If we get a chance, maybe we can get a guest on that's affiliated with the Blackhawks or the Blues or both. Yeah. And we'll really try to break down that game and have the Winter Classic. It's just going to be an amazing weekend. The content that will come out of that with us idiots running around together. We have a Pink Whitney party. I think before the game. By the way, look at that day. Pink Whitney party, Winter Classic, and then U.S. Canada after that. What a night we're going to have.
It's going to be glorious. It's going to be so glorious. Yeah, I hope we can do a preview of that game and really set the stage too and have all these kind of fun, cool things through that show too. I'm looking forward to being there with everyone, obviously. So chat was buzzing. The chat was buzzing. Love you, chat. Enjoy the eggnog. Enjoy the holidays or Christmas with your families. Spread love right now, this time of the year. It's awesome. So thanks to everyone for always joining us, listening, interacting with us on socials. We love it.
Love it. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy everything. Happy holidays to everybody in Chicklets Nation.
Merry Christmas, everybody.